What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to On the Hill Studios' first 5 Minute Friday. My goal with 5 Minute Friday is to essentially have a spot where I can go over the past week, what I've been working on for the dark, and condense that all down into 5 minutes such that it's a devlog for myself. And it's also a great spot for me to just convey to everybody else, anybody who's interested, the things that I've been working on and the progress being made on the dark. As well as a place where you can give feedback and say, hey, this is stupid, don't do this. And I'll be like, all right. So without further ado, let's get into the first point. I added a dynamic summoning point. So in essence, when you summon an object in the older version or in the current version, prior to November 15th, it would summon past your hand, and then your hand would snap to the grabbing point, and it would sort of bring it and spring back to where your real world hand is. And that was a problem. I figured out what the cause for that was, and I fixed the offset there. So that is all done and fixed. This next point I'm really happy with. I added twist relaxers to our wrists and forearms. I'm really happy with this one because I came across this fix accidentally. I was not even looking for a fix for this problem, at least at this point in time. But I can't even remember how I came across it, but it was a forum on a website for an asset that I already use, and they have something natively built in that I just was not aware of called twist relaxers, and it's into our inverse kinematics. Fantastic. I'm so glad I fixed that. It makes it so your wrists don't look broken now when you spin your wrist or spin your hand. This one's also pretty clean. I added more options for grabbable notifiers. So an indicator to the player like, hey, you can grab this, or you can interact with this object. I took notes from Boneworks on this one. Previously, I had a full-on outline, and then I condensed that down into simply being just a little dot. That will render through any 3D object so that you know, hey, I can grab this, but it doesn't take you out of the experience, and that's especially important for a horror genre title. And then coming with our UI, you'll be able to select for held objects as well as for static objects, which notifier you prefer. By default, it will be a ghost hand for static objects and a little dot for the held objects. Also, on that same topic, one of the fixes or adds that I did this week is I incorporated dynamic haptic feedback into a number of areas. So an example is when you're hovering over objects trying to decide which one that you want to pick up, as that little dot appears, it will also play a little haptic feedback in your controller. Another example is with this version 1 of strength-based grabbing, your objects will get stopped by physics in the virtual world, whereas for example, if your hand is underneath the table and you try raising your hand and lifting that lantern through the table, it will not be allowed to do so, whereas your real world hand will continue traveling. And there's a distance there, and the closer you get to that breaking point distance, the more haptic feedback you will receive. I also want to add more haptic feedback in the future for things such as regular hand collisions with physics. This one might not be as flashy for anybody who's not a computer science student. However, if you are a computer science student, you will love what I did. I redocumented all of On the Hill Studios codes and code scripts and functions. So now, as you are typing in a code or in a function, for example, and it will prompt you with descriptions of every single variable. And I also added a couple snippets and shortcuts so I can type in sort of things. For me, one is fsum, and it will fill out a function summary so I can add all of this documentation for the future so it doesn't take me as long to do and it's not such a waste of time. Even though 5 Minute Fridays is not designed to talk about what I'm going to be working on in the future or in the next week, I did want to mention I've been working on voice acting and motion capture with my VR rig, so that can help me record animations without needing an entire motion capture studio. I can do it the poor man's way in my one-bedroom apartment. And as well as with the voice acting, I've gotten that process started. I'm starting to record some clips, working on the filters and the overpasses on top of that. Especially for the tutorial, I feel that in any VR title, a tutorial is necessary, and you should put a lot of weight into that because if you want to show a game to somebody who's never played VR, it's a lot nicer to just say, play this tutorial, and for you to be able to trust in that tutorial to teach them what they need to know, rather than you having to walk every single person through that entire process. Again, that won't be coming for the November 15th release, but I wanted to mention it because I did put a decent amount of time into that this past week. Thank you all for tuning in to On the Hill Studios' first 5 Minute Friday. I definitely want to do these once a week, so you can bet your ass that I'm doing another one next week, and I can keep you guys up to date on what I've been working on, and Be sure to leave a comment down below as to what you want to see me working on. And if there's anything that I'm currently working on that you think, hey, I actually think this might be a bad idea, or maybe you should try doing it this way, definitely let me know. Thanks. Have a good one.